There is just no way in hell you can discuss the PlayStation 1 without bringing up Crash Bandicoot. If you weren't buying a PS1 for Final Fantasy VII, you were most likely buying it for Crash. I thought this game looked gorgeous at the time, and I still think the game graphically holds up extremely well for PlayStation 1 standards. Crash's model, on the other hand, looks a bit... what's the word I'm looking for? Dopey. Is it me, or does he always look extremely paranoid with this constant head turning? Almost as if he's a secret drug dealer on the lookout for the police. Here's a fun fact for all you Crash newbies out there. Back when this game was in development, its codename was Sonic's Ass Game, because the 3D nature of the game always had the camera looking at the main character's backside, and the most popular animal in the platform genre at the time was Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess you can use this codename nowadays to describe a Sonic game you don't like. Thank you, and good night. His traction on the ground isn't the stuff of kings either. It's not as bad as Luigi's in the Lost Levels, but you should always take caution on where you stop on tiny platforms. Oh god, that was embarrassing. This game loves bottomless pits. It's a good thing Crash doesn't suffer from knockback when getting hit, or else I'd be fucking terrified. No, instead Crash instantly dies upon taking any damage of any sort. Enemy contact, stage hazards, or getting blown up by TNT crates. Inside specially marked boxes you can find Aku Aku. I just sounded like I was advertising a toy you can find in a cereal box. That funky theme that played whenever you got a third mask was always one of my favorite tracks in the franchise. Crash Bandicoot also just loves throwing extra lives at you, whether it's a whole bunch of Wumpa fruit to collect or Crash's shit-eating grin slapped on the box. I managed to max out my lives just an hour into the game. I can't remember if I ever got a game over playing this. I've had plenty of deaths, no doubt about that. The other biggest challenge, which I can safely say is the biggest challenge in the game, is going for 100% completion. For fuck's sake, where do I start? Every level, except for boss stages, have boxes that you can bust open with a simple hop or a spin attack. That's another thing that feels very satisfying to do in this game now that I think about it. Breaking a whole bunch of boxes at once? Yeah, that feels good. If you can break open every crate located inside the level, you're rewarded with that stage's gem. And getting the 100% mark requires that you get all these gems. Every stage has checkpoint boxes that you can break, so in the case that you die, you restart from the last checkpoint box you broke. Okay, that's fine enough. After all, if you had to start from the very beginning of the level with some of these stages, that'd be simply maddening. Here's how it works. Checkpoint boxes save your current level progression, but it doesn't save the amount of boxes you destroyed before breaking it. What's that? You broke almost every box at this point of the level? What's that? You're on your third checkpoint box because the level is pretty fucking long as it is? What's that? You died near the end of the level and restarted from your last checkpoint? Well, guess what? Your ass better press start, hit the select button, and choose a stage from the world map again, because those boxes you got earlier in the stage are no longer broken, and in some occasions it's impossible to backtrack to reobtain them. You see this exclamation box, and you hit it, but you don't know what it does. Nowadays, I know very well that these boxes cause other boxes to appear, usually from these transparent outlines, but in this case, the outlines are completely invisible, meaning you would have no idea that boxes would spawn here after hitting the exclamation box further up the stage. For years, I always thought that boxes destroyed via TNT explosions didn't count because of how the tally at the end of the stage kept insisting that I was missing boxes I thought were clearly gone. And let me tell you, in this game, there's nothing more frustrating than the stage telling you that you're off by one box. Oh, come on! In the situation where the TNT box is grouped with a bunch of other boxes, including more TNT boxes, you need to make sure you see that son of a bitch explode. If you activate the timer and travel too far away, the active TNT box will explode, but nothing else will be destroyed. Just... huh? Certain boxes contain emblems of your girlfriend. If you collect all three in the stage, you can enter a bonus level to score more Wumpa fruit for extra lives, or just extra lives in boxes overall. This is also how you save the game. I repeat, in order to simply save the game, you gotta find 3 emblems across the stage, beat the bonus level, and then step on the transporter. I'll never forget Christmas of 1997. My family, like many others, always allowed the kids to open up one present on Christmas Eve, with the rest of it waiting for us the next morning. And what did I lay eyes upon when I opened up that early gift? Final Fantasy VII. Because Cortex has no other operatives left, he hatches a plan to use his arch-rival Crash Bandicoot to collect the crystals for him, disguising his true purpose by claiming that he needs the crystals in order to prevent a terrible catastrophe from destroying the planet. Just why in the hell is Crash Bandicoot so gullible to help out Cortex to begin with? Well, because Crash is dumb. No ifs, ands, or buts. The plot wastes no time in telling the player that Cortex is really evil. Hell, the subtitle of the game is Cortex Strikes Back. Unfortunately for our beloved Bandicoot, collecting crystals is the name of the game here. Levels are now broken up into tiers, and entering a level is just as easy as walking into the stage's portal, and there you go. In order to complete the current row of levels and access the next section of stages, you gotta collect each crystal in the corresponding level and beat the boss on the way up to the next tier. You really can't miss crystals during your journey through the level. They're placed in locations where you'd have to be practically blind in order to miss them. Steel boxes aren't the only new things in town. Crash 2 brings us the highly unstable nitro boxes. Just one touch, and you'll be singing that didgeridoo in the sky in no time. A detail I failed to mention in the previous review was that back in the first game, after you broke your first checkpoint box, you couldn't afford to lose a life at all after doing so, because even if you backtracked to break the boxes that were no longer broken, you would immediately warp back to the world map screen, completely skipping the gem collection sequence. So you pretty much couldn't afford to die at all after getting the first checkpoint while trying to get the stage's gem. Thank you for reminding me of that bullshit, Catacris. And I greatly appreciate you watching my videos, dude, thanks. And perhaps the greatest change of all, you can save your game just by walking up to this window in the warp room and boom, there you go, saved progress. No more need for Tawna emblems. Sadly, Crash 2 didn't really improve on the whole backtracking aspect when you're collecting boxes. Now that I think about it, it's worse here. The supreme king of this pain-in-the-ass design is Cold Hard Crash, another level located inside the 4th warp room. It has a shitload of boxes to break, one of which is hidden atop this one box in the bonus room, which will no doubt cause you to fucking flip out when it turns out to be the only box you're missing at the end of this hellhole. And the death route requires you to go forward and back along this very dangerous pathway with ice physics, nitro boxes, and a bunch of other shit that'll make your hands sweat. It also has boxes to break, so you have to go through here if you want the box gem. It also has a hidden gem located at the very end of the pathway, but if you grab it too soon, you won't be able to backtrack to grab not only the new boxes that appear when you struck the exclamation box at the end of the path, but you also won't be able to ride the death route platform back down to the normal route, where more boxes await to be broken. Without a doubt in my mind, this is the worst level in the PlayStation 1 Crash Bandicoot series. Take it away, Crash. I've seen a gem-powered laser before. Oh god, that's awful. And these two came out the same year too. Crash Bandicoot War! I always did find that emphasis on the warp part of the title screen a bit funny, and seeing that both Cortex and the new villain of the game Uka Uka are voiced by Clancy Brown, it just sounds like he passed a major kidney stone right as he screamed WARP! But I'm not here to gross you guys out for this entire review. The heads up display now tells you how many boxes the stage holds, so you can get a good idea of what to expect without having to wait until the end of the level to learn about the box total. This change also applies to the bonus rooms, which I'm convinced was implemented solely because of Cold Hard Crash and its bullshit hidden box. There's a power crystal in each stage that you need to grab to complete the level, and there's also the returning gems you can get by various methods, very much like Crash Bandicoot 2, only with less backtracking, thank fucking god. If you're still not satisfied with the gold relics, you can always go after the fabled platinum relics. These are something else entirely. The gold relics required extensive knowledge of the stage already, but these, you gotta pretty much master the stage and blaze through it perfectly, knowing where to jump, spin, super spin, slide jump, how to effectively use Aku Aku, crates, cutting corners, all of that. You guys all know what a bucket list is, right? Well, one of the things I always want to do at some point or another in my life is to get all the platinum relics in Crash Bandicoot 3. Which I know doesn't sound like a big deal to a lot, but it's so damn hard. It's definitely not impossible. In fact, I managed to get a platinum relic in this stage by complete fucking accident. But my hands get so cramped from replaying the trial numerous times. Thank you, DualShock controller. Your constant shaking keeps my joints one step ahead of a serious case of arthritis. DualShock vibration is not an actual cure for arthritis, as far as I'm aware. The primary focus of the game is still going down 3D hallways with some 2D action occasionally sprinkled in from time to time, but every group of stages has at least one of these new playstyles. Now, having a bunch of playstyles in one game can usually mean bad news. You want some examples? Just look at 3D Sonic games. I couldn't give two shits about the amount of playstyles as long as they're consistent and in relation to what the franchise is about. For many who grew up with strictly a PlayStation 1, if it wasn't Crash Bandicoot, it was possibly a certain purple dragon, which you can play a demo of by entering the Konami code of all things on the title screen of Crash Bandicoot 3. Trust me guys, I know there's a lot of you who want me to spend some time on Spyro the Dragon, but this may come as a shock to you. I never grew up with Spyro. In fact, one of the joke characters you can spot after fully completing Crash 3, known as Fake Crash, was designed after a horrendously inaccurate plushie that was sold in Japanese markets. I think it's great to see that the developers of Naughty Dog had a good sense of humor. So I did a bit of research, and it turns out that Naughty Dog was only signed with Universal Interactive Studios to produce 3 games on the PlayStation. So what makes Crash Team Racing a great kart racer? A number of things actually. Let's start with this, the multi-tap. You only need one console and one copy of the game to play with up to 4 players, none of that link cable bullshit. You just need the multi-tap and 4 controllers. Come on folks, it was the very beginning of 4-player action on a console, cut it some slack. Anyone else ever get the compulsion to toss this thing like a boomerang when they were young? Never mind. Whether you're a good or bad guy, you either have Aku Aku or Uka Uka giving you some tips and tricks on how the driving mechanics work, or how to effectively use items. But what the hell is going on with these mouth animations?
You must race other open tracks and come in first place.
Hey Elliot.
Hey John.
Did you know Crash Team Racing took some inspiration from Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64?
I did not know that, John. By the way, how did that lockjaw surgery go?
Well, it was a real mouth opener. But there's no feeling worse than doing so well in a race and having all that suddenly stripped away because of a goddamn time warp, a barrage of missiles, or a fucking invincibility match from opposing players. Oh, it's a great time for the opponents, but by God, do you want to tear their heads off. Anyway, Crash Bash, the only party game that I could think of that has the most intimidating opening title sequence in the history of video games.
Sony Computer Entertainment America presents.
Am I playing Crash Bash or Resident Evil?
Crash Bash!
Alright, Moon Whiplash, alright. There are 3 other tiers of minigames to play, but you gotta unlock them first via single player, and you gotta play a lot of minigames in order to get them. Okay boys, so what'll it be?
How about Tank Wars?
No, let's do Medieval Mayhem.
You oblivious assholes. Those games are locked. Looks like it's Pogo Pandemonium for the 8th time.
Ah! You fuck!
I realize that ending the marathon with a rather mediocre outlook on Crash Bash may seem anticlimactic for some, but I wanted to stress again that I want to stay strictly with the PlayStation 1 Crash titles. And even though I don't really like Crash Bash that much anymore, my opinions on the original trilogy are still the same, and I think you should really go out and try these games. You may be pleasantly surprised. Or not, you know, you can't please everybody. There are other games to play, such as... I'm drawing a complete blank. Fuck, nothing. I got nothing. Fuck! I was like a damn fool.
How about Tank Wars?
No, let's do Medieval Mayhem.
What the fuck?
I like that. We'll do it. Looks like it's Pogo Pandemonium for the 8th time.
You fuck!
Think Elliot cracked up too soon.
Yeah.